The next type of estimate that we'll be getting to is a pre-collated estimate. This allows you to create estimates using pre-collated carbon list stocks. By selecting the pre-collated list here, it'll open up the estimate window. The first thing we'd want to do here is put in the description for the job. And then from here we can move down into the actual estimate. The left navigational area here shows us that we're set to the customer section, where it'll show here on the right that it'll have all the company information. For us to populate this field, we need to click onto the company button, select our customer, and that will populate the field here. Next we can move over to the navigational area, which will then change this window here to reflect the estimate specs. The first thing we'd want to do is utilize the drop-down menus to select our quantities. These quantities are also customizable up in the options section. See the options video for more details. You can also type the information in rather than utilizing the drop-down menus. If you'd rather type your information in, you could definitely do so. There's also an area here to the right where you can add for a bleed. It's abbreviated here so you can see that the F would be for a full bleed, left bleed, right bleed, top, bottom, and also an area here where you can add for how much of a bleed you'd like to use. From here we can go into our ink specifications where we can select what type of ink we'd like to use for this job. In this case I'll select a 1/0 black. By selecting the OK button, it'll populate my inks into the estimate, and then I'm able to choose this type of stock that I'd like to use. The stock paper section works a little bit different here within a pre-collated carbon list estimate. It'll only show us our pre-collated stocks. So by selecting the pre-collated stock we'd like to use, it'll show us here exactly which stocks we have available for that name. By selecting the 8.5 by 11 stock, it'll populate into my estimate, and now I have my stock listed here. As you can see, from running an 8.5 by 11 sheet from a finish size of 8.5 by 5.5, it'll let me know here that I'll get 2 out onto a sheet. Next I can select the type of markup that I'd like to use by selecting the difficulty factor. The good difficulty factor would keep the estimate at a 0% markup, or by selecting the excellent, which would mark the job up 15%, or I can also select the ordinary, which would decrease a job by 15%. To learn more about creating difficulty factors, you could see the option video for more details. Next would be the running selection. As you can see, there's an option here showing that there are 5 running selections available. What that means, by all the information that I've put here within the specs of the job and all the machines that I have available here under the green wrench, it's come up and determined that it's got 5 different options that it can use to run this job. By selecting the running selections area, it shows me all the different types of options that I have to run this job. The estimator then takes it a step further, as you can see where it's bold and astricized here, that it actually shows you the most cost-effective way to run this job. So by selecting this 2-up machine right here, I can lock my press in, and this will save my settings. By clicking the OK, it'll then save it onto my estimate and give me my prices down here at the bottom. From here I can add anything that I'd like to have as far as graphics. If there's any graphic design, I can select an option here to the right and click the add button to add it over here into the window to the left. Same would apply for the film and proofs area, as well as the finishing. In this case, since we're doing carbonless, we need to add our fan apart padding. Selecting OK, we'll add this over here into our list. And then from here we can visit the additional operations section if we wanted to add any additional operations. We also have a variation section here where if we'd like to adjust a specific section to this estimate, we can go through and change that. For example, if you wanted to change the stock charge, you could double click onto the stock charge and see how much it's being charged here, and you could change the price by either putting a minus sign and typing in a number here to show a discount, or if you'd like to put a markup on it, you can type in the amount and tab off of it. That way you can get your price as well. It shows you your new price here compared to the original price. As well as, if you'd like to, you can also select the dollar adjustment, where it will actually adjust it via dollar amount rather than percentage. If you'd like to have it removed, you can set it back to 0, tab off, and it'll show you the actual amount down here for the new price. Once you're finished, you can select the OK button. The next section we have below that would be the notes section. Within the notes section, you can type in any information that you'd like to have as far as internal or customer information for any specific section. By selecting which area you'd like to use, click onto the note, and then you can come into the field here and type the actual note that will actually print out on either the internal printout or the customer printout. The next section we have below that would be the price summary. This gives us a brief overview of the actual costs that are going into the job. If you'd like a more detailed printout, we have the button up above that looks like a $sign. That would be the preview price detail. By selecting this button, it'll actually open up our price detail, showing us more in detail everything that's being involved with this job and showing us where all of our costs are coming from. From here, the estimate is finished. What we would need to do is click onto the Save button for it to add an estimate number down here towards the bottom. By clicking the Save button, it saves the estimate into the Estimate Manager, or the button that looks like a blue calculator with a red box in front of it. If we're ready to make this a job ticket, what we can do is click onto the Estimate Job Ticket toggle, and this will convert this. As the top, you can see it's listed as a pre-collated carbonless estimate. By me selecting the Estimate Job Ticket toggle, it now turns it into a job ticket. From here we can add a start date, a due date. If we'd like to include a finish date, we can do so, as well as choosing the different 3 quantities that we had out of our 3 quantities in the Estimate Specs section. We can also add a ship date if we'd like, list what our order source was at or how it was shipped. There's also a section here for you to add a job invoice item, PO number, or an invoice number. Once we've finished with this section, we can click onto the Save button here, and this will give us our option down here for save.